It's Gear of the Year time. Yeah.
Ginger Runner.
What is up, everybody? Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, here for what has become our annual tradition here the first-ish week of December. It is our Gear of the Year. This video is essentially your one-stop shop to figure out what gear went through the Ginger Runner gauntlet and found itself standing atop the podium as our Gear of the Year. Since I started Ginger Runner in 2011, we're coming up on 10 years, by the way, I have just geeked out over gear. So these videos have sort of become my way of expressing my joy and excitement over all the awesome gear that I got to review this year. This year, we have 9 award categories. I added one from last year, just for fun's sake. The categories are as follows: Best Running Apparel, Best Work From Home Apparel, Best Storage Item, Best Gadget, Best Nutrition, Best Drop Bag Accessory, Best Road Shoes, Best Trail Shoes, and Best Budget Bonus Item. I'll talk about 2 products in each category. There'll be a runner-up, and then there'll be grand prize winner. This is also a great opportunity to sort of showcase products that maybe didn't get a video review this year on the channel, but still made rotation. And I felt it was a product worth mentioning because I'm using it excessively. It's still in my rotation. It's just something that's awesome. Obviously had to tell you about it. Of course, I have to point out at the top of any video like this that most of the products were provided by Running Warehouse or the manufacturers themselves. I am under no obligation to say anything about a product or include them on this list. This is all me. My opinions are all me. I cannot emphasize that enough. There are a lot of great products that may not make this list. I know you're probably thinking about them at home. That's what the comments are for. In the comments of this video, let us know what some of your favorite products, your Gear of the Year is. It is always great to continue to keep that dialogue going. And of course, a quick reminder that the prices of the products might run the full gamut. We'll have some things that are pretty expensive. We'll have some things that are pretty affordable. If you have additional questions or want more information about any of the products that are talked about in today's video, there are links, of course, in the description. They are affiliate links. They cost you nothing. They do help keep the channel afloat, so consider using them, but even more so, consider going to your local mom and pop shops or your local running store and getting products from them. Right now, more than ever, small businesses are hurting. So if you can give some of your business to the small business, that would be an amazing gift. Oh, I am so ready for this. It is time for the 2020 Gear of the Year. Let's dive in, starting with, of course, the best running apparel. Runner-up from the North Face, it is the Flight Futurelight waterproof jacket. I basically started using this right after last year's Gear of the Year video, so it did not make the list last year. I wish I had worn it a little bit earlier just because this thing is freaking awesome. It is ridiculously expensive, so I'm gonna put that warning out right now. I considered it an investment, and it really has come to give me so much joy. From providing plenty of waterproofness and protection from the elements throughout last winter season and through some of the lighter rain summer days, I have just come to use it in so many different conditions. I just love it. It packs up fairly small, so you can keep it in a hydration pack if you're not wearing it all the time. It's adaptable. It's got a little bit of give to it. The waterproofness is fantastic. You know, it's that shake dry stuff. I am a huge fan. And the winner of the best apparel item of 2020 was going to be the New Balance Spring PMV 5-inch shorts, but unfortunately you can't find these anywhere. So they lose out to the Lululemon Surge 4-inch shorts with the liner. Basically, if I find myself grabbing a single apparel item over and over and over again, it was going to be either the New Balance pair of shorts or these. I constantly found myself grabbing them, just because they're comfortable, they're soft, I think they look great, they feel great. And since my summer 2020 summer shorts showdown video earlier this year, many of you have pointed out that these little elastic straps along the waistband are in fact for holding a shirt. If you would like to take off a shirt and tuck it into your waistband. I'm not gonna do that, look at me. So despite not using those elastic straps, I use these shorts all the time. They really have become my ultimate apparel item that I've just used all year round. Moving on, new category for 2020 is the best work from home apparel. I know many of you have transitioned your workspaces to your home. You might not be wearing as many button-down shirts and probably dressing a little bit more casual, especially from the waist down. The good thing is that apparel manufacturers have been there waiting for us to work from home so they can provide us with that athleisure apparel. I hate the term, but there's certainly a marketplace for shirts, garments, pants, shorts, anything like that that can bridge the gap between working or being on camera, since you're probably doing a lot of Zoom meetings, and then going straight into a run or a workout. My runner-up work from home apparel item, it's actually been one of my favorites, is from Tracksmith. It is the Tracksmith Trackhouse crew neck sweatshirt. I love this thing. It is thick and warm and comfortable and cozy with hints of nostalgia and a bit of modernism. I just cannot get enough of the crewneck sweatshirt in combination with the trackhouse sweatpants that they also offer. So yeah, I basically have like a matching casual tuxedo that I just wear and lounge around the house in. They're incredibly well-made garments. I really like them. But the top prize for the best work-from-home apparel item goes to Path Projects and their Pyranees T19 and T27 hooded long sleeve shirts. These things are incredibly soft and comfortable. So there's two different versions, the T19 and the T27. The T19 is a bit thinner, much easier to run in different kind of lighter fall weather, as well as the T27, which is a bit thicker and much better towards winter temperatures. They feature a cool modern cut around the neck with the hood. The sleeves are cool. They have the thumb holes as well as a watch hole. They work great for runs. They work great for casual wear. They look really clean and modern and professional. So if you're looking for something maybe like an alternative to Lululemon type stuff, Path Projects is doing a great job in men's apparel, and I'm just loving what they're creating here. So big shout out to them for being awarded the best work from home apparel item of 2020. Moving on, best storage item. So this was a hard category this year. I didn't feel there was much innovation or many new products in the storage realm as far as like hydration packs, belts, stuff like that. I will say that my runner-up is a product you're probably already very familiar with. It made my 2019 Gear of the Year. From Salomon, it is their Advanced Skin 5 set. This is probably one of my favorite hydration packs ever. As I mentioned, it made last year's list. It's making this year's list as a runner-up only because, I mean, I could just keep touting how great it is. This is the same pack from last year. It's still holding up quite well. It smells terrible. I haven't washed it in a while, but it just is doing everything I needed to do and then some. But coming in first place this year for my best storage item is something, honestly, I never thought that I would even think about awarding the top award, but from compressport, it is their Free Belt Pro. Now I know there are a lot of elastic pocketed belts out there. There are so many different brands that do this, but what I will say is that compressport has been one of the first companies that have made a belt I found myself grabbing a lot this summer when all I really needed to carry with me was a soft flask, maybe a couple of gels. This belt solved all of those problems, didn't really budge around my waist. It's one of the problems that I have with so many belts is not only great, it's on sale. So this is the 2018-19 model, which is about $29. The brand new model, it's not that much different. It's only gonna be a little bit more than that, but you can get this right now on sale and it's great. Next up is probably one of my favorite categories each and every year, and that is best gadget, things that operate with a battery or apps. It's just an opportunity to get a little techie and nerdy and highlight cool tech from the last year. Runner up from petzl, it's the Ico Corb. I know I just dropped this review recently, so you're probably already familiar with this little bad boy, but since I dropped this review, they have just become pretty coveted. It is a really super fun, lightweight, comfortable headlamp. It is a great partner to like a waist belt or any other sort of additional light source. So if you're looking for something that will get you through those night runs through the city, or maybe a little bit of trail running overnight as like a supplemental light source, this is great. And now, my gadget of the year for 2020 is something that I didn't think I would love as much as I loved. It is also something that many of you are probably already familiar with, or even members of, and that is Zwift. So Zwift is obviously this online portal that allows you to connect your bike sensors, or like a running sensor, and compete or participate in running, cycling in a virtual environment with other people. It has like workouts, training calendars, group sessions. It has just gamified fitness and is an absolute blast. So with 2020 being 2020, there were many weeks and months where we were really limited in where we could go physically, so it kept us indoors a lot. And what ended up happening was I pulled out my old bike, I hopped on a Zwift trainer, jumped into Zwift, and just found myself falling in love with cycling again. I now do 1 or 2 sessions in Zwift a week. On a personal note, it's actually allowed me to connect with my brother because he really inspired me to get into cycling many years ago. And he has since stopped cycling a lot, but I've convinced him to join Zwift, and he and I now every week, we join up for a Zwift session, we get to chat on the phone, and it's been kind of this really cool personal change in my own life. In a year that has just absolutely sucked, I found one little bright spot during all of this, and that is actually through Zwift. And ultimately, that is why it has made my #1 gadget item for 2020, because it brought me together with my family, and that's kind of a cool thing to say about a fitness item. Best nutrition, runner-up is from Spring Energy. I've talked about this for multiple years now. The canaberry flavor has still maintained its top spot on my nutrition choice list as far as gels I like to eat while on the run. The canaberry, 100 calories per gel, is just the flavor I like to keep in my pack because it's delicious. It's really good. So well done, Spring, in maintaining your position here on the Gear of the Year every single year for years. You're doing great. But the nutrition item that comes out with hands raised high, standing atop the podium with the overall win, comes to us from Goo Energy. I'm sure you've heard of Goo, and it is their protein recovery mix. So they have two flavors here, chocolate and vanilla. I always do chocolate, Kim always does vanilla. These have just become our post-run, post-workout necessity. Last year I talked about the Tailwind protein mix, which is fantastic. It's delicious. We still have some of that as well. I just found myself going to these packets because the flavor is so good. With 20 grams of protein, 230 calories, it is a great post-workout recovery product that I just enjoy so much. Moving on to the best drop bag accessory. There hasn't been a lot of racing this year. I'm gonna acknowledge that right off the bat. So a drop bag, many of you are like, man, I haven't used one of those since 2019. You remember that day? But a drop bag can also be just considered something you keep in the back of your car if you're doing a long run and you need to stop for an aid station of some sort. So these are things that you should definitely be keeping in there for various reasons. Runner-up comes to us from one of my favorite brands, Squirrel's Nut Butter, anti-chafe balm to keep your bits from rubbing against other bits, keeping everything chafe-free. This stuff is amazing. Ultimately, I want everyone to be able to take a post-run shower and not be dancing around trying to avoid bits from getting bit. At the end of the day, who likes chafe? Nobody. Maybe one or two of you. The reality is this stuff works. I stand by it. It is fantastic. Squirrel's Nut Butter. Great for more than just nuts. And my number one drop bag accessory this year might surprise some of you. It is a little out of left field, but I'll give you some context. From ravpower, it is a 22,000 milliamp hour power bank. This has been probably one of my most used products in 2020, and I'm not even kidding. You bring a camera, you bring a watch, you bring a phone, you bring any piece of electronics with you to the trailhead or on an adventure. This is now the item that I carry in a drop bag at all times. It basically has 3 USB charge ports, can charge multiple items simultaneously or charge your phone multiple times over or charge your watch. I've used this so much this year, charging camera gear, headlamps, watches, while out on adventures or camping or doing overnights or anything like that, that I realized just because it's not necessarily running specific doesn't mean it isn't something that runners should have. I'm sure many of you have USB power banks somewhere in your kit, whether they're small milliamp hour ones or this one to get bigger. The brand doesn't really matter. This one's a ravpower. I'll have a link to this one in the description. But since I even got this one, they've come out with higher milliamp hour versions. They've gotten thinner, they've gotten lighter. There's other brands like Anchor that are also very reputable, but I've had zero problems with this. If you don't have one already, get one for your drop bag, get one for your adventures, camping trips, traveling, anything. This is awesome. Now let's get into some items that I know you have all been waiting so patiently for. The 2020 Best Road Running Shoes. I want to point out that the road shoe category was probably the toughest category of 2020 to actually narrow down to a couple of shoes. There was so much in the road category this year as far as like really good shoes, really solid offerings from multiple brands. So what you're seeing here is just a couple items from a multitude of really great options. It's also really difficult not to have two different categories, one for carbon plated shoes or just plated shoes in general, and another category for non-plated shoes. So I'm combining all of them into one road shoe category, starting with the runner-up. From Saucony, it is the Endorphin Speed. So this is, of course, a plated shoe. It has a nylon plate in there, so it's not full stiffness like a carbon plate, but that is what, in my opinion, makes this such a great shoe, is that it doesn't have that intensity of a carbon plate that's really gonna alienate a lot of people who don't need that stiffness or that momentum or that spring and are just looking for something comfortable with a little bit of spring back. It just became one of my favorites. And I never really thought I'd say that about a carbon nylon plated shoe. Trust me, the New Balance Fuel Cell RC Elite was a close comparison with these two, but the price is really what set this one apart. $70 cheaper than the RC Elite. But coming in at the top, my favorite road shoe. I'm actually curious if you can guess what it is before I hold it up here. You might not be able to, but you probably will. From Hoka, One, it is the Rincon 2. It is a lightweight, soft, cushioned, flexible shoe that really found its place in my rotation regularly. I will say that the Mach 4 came into our possession very recently and has done quite well, but you'll have to wait until 2021 to see more of that. The Rincon 2 is my choice for best road shoe of 2020. It just has all these ingredients put together in a really fine package. And with all the miles that I have now put on this shoe, hundreds of miles, it's still holding up really well, which is something that I cannot say for a lot of other shoes that I've run in this year. So it does what it needs to do. It does it in a light package, in a flexible, soft cushion package. I'm so happy to have the Rincon 2 here. And I will point out that the Rincon 1 is still available in limited sizes for under $100, so you could even go back and get the original version, save yourself some dollars in a shoe that is also just a fantastic shoe that made my gear of the year in 2019. So I'm happy to see its new younger brother make the list again this year. And now for the best trail shoes of 2020. The runner-up is a shoe that surprised me and probably surprised some of you. It is a great looking shoe, a great feeling shoe. It does a lot really well, and I like where they're going with it. From Nike, it is the Pegasus Trail 2. This is probably making some of you go, what, really? The reality is, I still have my pair, and I keep wearing them. I find myself going to them for trail runs quite often. The midsole is holding up really, really well. While they might not have the best grip in adverse conditions, that is a no-brainer. They're great for dry surfaces, dry single track, even some technical terrain, but the flexibility, the overall comfort, I've just had a really great time in the Pegasus Trail 2. It is a huge change from earlier Pegasus Trails. I can't wait to see what's next. They just are awesome shoes, and that is why I put them in as runner-up trail shoe of the year. And I will mention that the Innovate Terra Ultra G270 was a really close contender for that runner-up. It is a good shoe. It surprised me a lot this year with this offering. It just didn't quite make the cut, but I'll definitely give it a mention. Bringing us to our gear of the year, best trail shoe of 2020. Of all the trail shoes that I wore this year, that I trained in this year, that I put all the miles in, this shoe by far has the most miles in it, has held up the best, has probably seen the most variation in conditions and terrain. It comes to us from Altra and is the Olympus 4. The 3.5 was a great contender last year. You saw that it did tie for one of my best trail shoes from 2019. The Olympus 4 just came out swinging, and it stayed in my rotation. And I just found myself like, I don't want to get rid of it because I just really enjoy it. I think it works in such a variety of conditions and is so good for the long runs, for those runs where you're out there for hours and hours and hours and you just want to forget about your feet. This does quite well. So congratulations, Altra, on creating something that surprised me this year. I didn't think it would make top of the list. I just found myself coming back to it. So yeah, the Olympus 4, it looks good, it feels good, great damn trail shoe. Also on sale for $43 off. That's a huge deal. Link in the description to that. That's screaming. Bringing us to our final category of the 2020 Gear of the Year Awards. It is the best bonus budget item. The runner-up this year is a surprise to all of us. And honestly, it's extremely affordable. It is extremely easy to use, and we should all be using them. Masks. Just get a mask. That one's an easy one. But ultimately, the best budget bonus item of 2020 actually turns out to be something that you can use on multiple adventures out there, and that is the Salomon soft flask with the filter. Now you can actually get these filter lids separately as long as you have some of the Salomon soft flasks, the 16-ounce versions. They are incredible. If you find yourself going through the backcountry and you need to source water from a questionable stream or water source, these are fantastic because they're storable. You can just fill them with water and drink without any worry. I absolutely love how light and storable they are. It keeps you safe and keeps you adventuring and keeping you hydrated out there. It's just a great thing to have. Kind of dovetailing with the mask conversation is that these are also great to have in case of an emergency. If for some reason you need to filter water at any given point, you can just fill these up. You can drink out of here carefree. I love having a couple of these in our storage locker. And as far as a budget item, they're fairly affordable for what you get. I cannot encourage you to grab one of these for yourself or for your loved ones or for your adventures. And that, my friends, is it for the 2020 Gear of the Year. Again, these are my favorite things to do at the end of every year. One, they kind of wrap up the whole year, last 12 months of reviews and reviewing gear and testing gear. Kind of ultimately comes to this discussion of what stands out amongst the others. So the items that I talked about in today's video are some of my favorites. And I am super curious what some of your favorites are. So of course, in the comments of this video, let me know and let our audience know, let the crew know what you deemed your gear of the year. If you have any questions, want to find out more information, or get any of the products that I discussed in today's video, links in the description. Again, they're affiliate links. They don't cost you anything. They do help the channel out. You can use them if you want. You don't have to. Check with your local mom and pop shop or your local running store to see if they have any of the products listed that you might want to be getting. Support the small businesses. We know firsthand that this year has been tough, so we know that anything you can do to help other small businesses, please do. That is it for today's video. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. If you liked it, make sure you like, favorite, and subscribe to the channel. We have social media links there that you can follow across social media at the bottom, patreon.com/thegingerrunner. That is actually how you can help us out. You get to join this amazing community of other runners and athletes from around the world. We do daily live streams for our GR crew members, varying tier levels, and we would love to have you join the GR crew. Patreon.com/thegingerrunner. That's it. That's my pitch. Don't forget, next week is Gingermas, December 11th, 12th, and 13th. Go to gingermas.com for more information. Register. We almost have 1,000 people registered already. We would love to see you participate. It is our way of giving back to this amazing community. So let's wrap up this year with a bang with Gingermas, and then just shove the gift out the door, light it on fire, and then kick it to the curb, because 2020, you gotta be gone. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week. Get out there, train as hard as you can, virtually race harder, and party the hardest. Happy end of 2020. See ya. Bye-bye.